Galvan's treasure. Are you Galvan? Galvan the Unstoppable? Galvan paused, mid-stride, outside the restaurant he had just left. He turned slightly and shifted his gaze downward. Standing there, staring up at him, was a little boy, no more than 6 years old. Yes, I am, Galvan replied. The child gasped, causing a warm smile to spread across Galvan's face. He had gotten accustomed to this type of reaction, especially in the last 2 years since he achieved the esteemed pro hunter level at Kramer Megacorp. You are my hero, the little boy declared, not taking his big, wide, adoring eyes off Galvan. Galvan was about to extend his hand for a handshake, as was his norm, but he did not want the little one to see his bandaged thumb, which was injured during his last mission. Jason? A petite woman with the same rusty brown hair color as the little boy emerged from behind and gently grasped the little boy's arm. I told you not to talk to strangers, she said, trying to hold on to the little boy while skillfully balancing several bags in her other hand. But Mom, it's Galvan, the powerful alien hunter. The woman paused, her gaze slowly shifting up to Galvan's face. Her eyes widened, suddenly realizing who was standing before them. Are you really? She said. Yes, ma'am, I am, Galvan responded, offering a slight bow. Oh my son Jason talks about you all the time. We're all huge fans. Seriously, thank you for risking your life every day to protect us from those blood-sucking aliens. Thank you for your kind words, Galvan replied. We should be heading home now, Jason. I'm sure Mr. Galvan has more important matters to attend to. Jason's stare was unwavering. His gaze remained fixed on Galvan, as if he were a tantalizing treat. You're my hero. I want to be just like you when I grow up. These were the last words Galvan heard the little boy say before his mother swiftly ushered him into a compact sedan a short distance away. Galvan let out a sigh, making his way toward his own car. Although it looked like a luxurious flying vehicle, his customized transport had more in common with a military assault craft than anything else. Settling into the driver's seat and launching the vehicle, he soared toward the imposing Kramer building. His hands navigated the controls with effortless precision, his mind drifting into distant thoughts. A year ago, he mused, he'd have gladly handed the child his business card and extended an invitation to explore the hunter station at Kramer Megacorp. But those days had passed. Since Hannah's passing, life had lost its meaning. She died of a muscle disease, the name of which he could not pronounce, but he had watched that thing eat her flesh away until the day she died in his arms. Nothing could be done. Every doctor in the state had tried to help her, with no success. His prestigious pro-hunter status, which he had worked on so hard to attain, proved utterly powerless to help her. Galvan parked his car in the hangar bay of the Kramer building's parking garage. This space was reserved exclusively for hunters and executives to dock their airborne vehicles. He got out of his car and walked inside the building, passing by the hunter's station and into the administrative area. When he reached Henry's office, he knocked and entered without delay. He arrived a few minutes late for his 10 o'clock appointment. Henry, I'm leaving the force, Galvan stated directly, skipping any niceties. What? Henry exclaimed, rising from his seat. He was a tall, well-built man with a bald head. Disappointment resonated in his voice. Their history stretched back, and Henry had always made it clear that Galvan was his most trusted hunter on the force. I've made my decision, Henry. I need to move on. Please, have a seat, Galvan. Galvan settled into the chair across from Henry. Henry, I've made up my mind. Please don't try to convince me otherwise, Galvan said. Henry regarded Galvan and then let out a deep sigh. I understand. These past few months have been tough on you, and honestly, I sensed this was coming. Thank you for understanding, Galvan replied. While he would miss being part of the hunters, engaging in training exercises with the rest of the crew, and soaring through the skies in his car to vanquish dangerous alien creatures, he couldn't escape the shadow of Hannah's absence. Without her, it was all pointless. It was time to move on. "But there's one last favor I'd like to ask," Henry said. Galvan sighed and his shoulders dropped. He was ready to be done with favors. But Henry had proven to be not just a boss, but a true friend. In the initial 3 months following Hannah's passing, Henry had been a constant presence, checking on Galvan daily. Galvan felt an obligation to honor that friendship. "Go ahead, tell me what it is," Galvan said after a few silent seconds had passed between them. Henry rose from his seat, striding toward the expansive glass wall. It was an intelligent glass partition that separated his office from the adjacent one. With a quick tap, he activated the controls. Instantly, an image of the Earth materialized, its expanse marked by a grid of intersecting blue lines. Zooming in, the diagram focused on a specific section of the globe where a red blinking dot indicated an impending course toward Earth. Current readings suggest that an alien, Henry pointed at the red dot, is on the verge of entering our atmosphere. He tapped a specific point on the display. This alien stands out. Unlike others, it's piloting a ship equipped with some kind of shielding. Despite attempts to intercept it, this alien has evaded capture 3 times. Each time our hunters approached, it was able to escape because of the shield. "And why do you think I can get this guy?" "Because you're the finest man we have, Galvan. We both know it," Henry stated. Galvan could not deny it. He had a track record of accomplishing seemingly impossible tasks. If there were a tier, beyond the pro-hunter level, he'd have earned his place there. Galvan also recognized that if this alien went unchecked, Earth and its inhabitants could face dire consequences. His thoughts turned to Jason and his mother. "Just one final mission, and then I'm finished." The words escaped Galvan's lips before he could reconsider. "Yes, agreed. Thank you, Galvan." 8 hours later, Galvan was seated in his vehicle, elevated high above the clouds, keenly observing and awaiting the passage of the alien ship along its anticipated trajectory. Galvan knew that his car, heavily armed as it was, would not be able to take this ship out if the previous hunters had not been able to. Thus, he opted for an alternative approach: stealth. At present, his car was cloaked and visible to the world around him, and most importantly, to the alien vessel. It was a technique he'd learned early in his alien hunting endeavors. Sometimes it proved more effective to engage aliens on the ground rather than pursuing them in the air. This method yielded intact ships for scientific examination. It was a strategy not commonly embraced by fellow hunters, as it lacked the excitement and flamboyance suited for their public personas. Galvan had never really cared about that, though. He just wanted to get the job done. His focus was solely on accomplishing the task at hand. And so he waited, concealed as he had done many times before, his gaze fixed on the tracking screen. The alien would be here any moment now. Galvan looked ahead, and just as he expected, a small ship glided across the sky in front of him. Without delay, he accelerated, tailing the ship through the sky. As he drew closer, he could see the head of an unfamiliar green creature within. Its eyes were black, like a shark's. Its hands slender and elongated, rhythmically tapping at a screen. A brilliant, radiant glow enveloped the ship. So that's the shield, Galvan said to himself. He trailed the alien through the clouds until it landed its ship on an abandoned island. His locator indicated that they were on the island of Pesky, positioned to the far north of Michigan. He landed his car about 50 feet away from the alien ship and watched. He observed as the alien disembarked from its craft, allowing Galvan to fully appreciate its physical form. Standing at an impressive height of around 7 feet, the creature displayed elongated, spindly legs that resembled the appearance of a genuine stick figure. The alien pulled out what looked like a hose from the back of its ship. With one end securely fastened to the vessel, it extended the other end toward the lake's edge. "What's it doing?" Galvan mused. Dipping the hose into the water, The alien flipped a switch on the hose and waited. It's draining water from the lake. What the heck for? Galvan's jaw dropped. Galvan concluded that now was the best time to make his move. The alien stood beyond the confines of its ship, devoid of weaponry, and with its protective shield disabled. Galvan turned off his cloak and got out of his car, his A-2032 pistol held in front of him. Hands up, Galvan commanded. Galvan was curious and opted not to shoot the alien right away. Startled, the alien swiftly turned, its slender green arms raised in surrender. Please don't shoot. I mean no harm to your planet. It speaks English? Galvan was taken aback. Who are you, and what are you doing here? Galvan said. I am Asus. I come from the tribe of Uri, from the planet I believe your people call Mars. Galvan furrowed his brows. Lies. There's no life on Mars, Galvan scoffed. Ah, but there is, Mr. Galvan, the unstoppable. What? How does he know? Galvan's thoughts raced, astounded by this revelation. Galvan raised his gun and aimed at Asus' head. If you don't tell me who you really are and what you're really doing here, I will blow your head off. If you do that, you'll never truly know, will you? Unsettled by the alien's composed demeanor, Galvan's apprehension grew. There is life on Mars. We have been able to evade the people of Earth for many years. It is to preserve that life that I have come. Go on, Galvan urged, cautiously closing the distance between them. Asus sighed. You see, my daughter is gravely ill, and our healers have exhausted every option available. I've come for the healing water. Are you suggesting this lake possesses healing properties? Oh yes, Mr. Galvan. It's common knowledge among the Uri and other tribes. Our ancestors had used it for thousands of years. Unfortunately, we have not come here recently because you are afraid of us. We have seen your broadcasts of hunts, of other ill-intentioned aliens. So we did not come, for we feared being hunted as well, even with our shields. But I could not stay away, for this water is living water. It heals all diseases. It quenches all thirst forever. Galvan found himself caught in a whirlwind of thoughts. Could this alien be telling the truth? He'd never conversed with an extraterrestrial before. Could this water have saved Hannah? Many Uri have risked and sacrificed their lives. Seeking the island of healing waters is what we call this place. We never mean any harm to humans. How can I be sure you're telling the truth? Galvan said. Let me show you. Give me your hand. Why? Galvan raised his gun higher. The Uris say that in the search for truth, trust becomes the compass. Now show me your hand. Galvan cautiously advanced and put his pistol back in his belt. He extended his left hand slowly. No, Mr. Galvan, the other hand, the injured one. How do you know about my... Uris possess the insight to unravel a person's history with but a glance. Galvan remained silent, extending his wounded right hand. Jesus gently held Galvan's hand. Its touch was cool and gentle. Jesus knelt right by the lake and cupped some water in his hand, and then he let it trickle onto Galvan's wound. The icy touch stung as it saturated the area, but the pain vanished almost instantly along with the wound. Galvan was speechless. He withdrew his hand from Jesus' grasp and sank to his knees. The realization hit him like a tidal wave. He could have saved Hannah. Tears streamed down his face. You've discovered a treasure, Mr. Galvan. While you couldn't save your wife, you now have the chance to save countless others from death. Thank you, Jesus. I'll always remember this. Galvan accompanied Jesus until he left Earth's atmosphere, then dialed Henry's phone. What? Henry's voice thundered over the phone. You let it go? Yes, it posed no harm. Mission accomplished. I will send in my resignation letter. And In the following 2 days, Galvan liquidated his assets and purchased the island of Pesky. He had discovered a treasure, one that held more value than anything he'd ever possessed. Life had regained its purpose. The end.